So I want to welcome and introduce everybody to someone I think we all know, Head of Content and Strategy for CPL, Christian Jack. So welcome, Christian, to your first official final media day. We're excited to have you. I'm going to pass it up to Christian just as a housekeeping. Christian will be the MC for the duration of the finals, and he will throw it to questions, and Nick and I will moderate the questions, facilitate the questions with the microphones. So please don't ask a question until we provide you with the mic. And we ask that before you ask the question, you identify yourself with your name and your outlet.
Thank you, Vicky. Welcome, everybody. Exciting day. Match day -1 before the Canadian Premier League final here at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton tomorrow. Nikki already went through the rundown, but for those of you joining us late, we're going to go with Forge first. We're going to get their coaching in a second, and then hear from three key players, Kyle Becker, Kwame Awuah, and Alex Ashinoni Johnson, before Pacific will join us here at Tim Hortons Field, and we'll go through that as well later on. And in between, delighted to announce I'll be joined by the Commissioner, David Flanagan, up here for later on, and we'll go through all things that are important in the league and a summary of what's happened in 2021 as we look forward to 2022. So let's waste no more further time, because the next gentleman is very busy. So let's bring him in, the head coach of Forge FC, Bobby Smyrniotis. Oh no, it's all good. You look way better than me. Before we open it up for questions in the studio and also online, we're just going to get Bobby's opening thoughts, if you don't mind, and just tell us what it's like to be, first of all, back home after a crazy travel and getting to play a final here in Hamilton. That must feel pretty special.
Yeah, it's been obviously a very interesting week. You know, you're going from one competition to another. Very emotional game on Wednesday night down in Honduras. 12 hours of travel to get back. Most people wouldn't know that there's not many flights going in and out of Tegucigalpa, Honduras. So it's not the easiest place to get to. But we just flip the switch and we go. You know, something that we've done all year. You know, it's quite an interesting build up to this game. You have one team who I think for 14 days has been analyzing Forge, and another team for 2 days is analyzing their opponent. But it's nothing different than what we've done all year, and you know, we'll just enjoy the moment. That's the biggest thing that you look forward to in these games. You know, one thing we talk about with the team is enjoy the moment, enjoy the build-up, because you don't know when you play in these again. Obviously, as a club, we've been fortunate. This is our 3rd year in a row. Yeah, we want to do it every year, but at some point, it's not going to happen. That's inevitable. Hopefully, that happens in 50 years, but we'll see how it goes.
Special day, no doubt about it, tomorrow. Before we look forward and we get the questions, one thing we should probably address is looking back. Maybe you can just take the media through the last 48 hours or so. So you land, what was it, close to midnight in bed, what, 3 a.m. or something? And how's the last couple of days been with training, if you can even get the guys to run?
Yeah, back, we landed midnight, I guess it was Thursday evening, getting back here, and then just like you said, you know, most of us were in our beds by 2:30 and back at training, and somehow the guys have great energy. You know, we got back to training yesterday. It's excellent. You want to take them through a little bit of paces and get them, you know, just activated again. But these guys somehow want more, and that's what yesterday's training session was about. And then today, just, you know, work a little bit on tactical nuances that we want. And I guess as some of you guys saw out there, we're working a little bit on our wide routes and our post plays. And Louis, am I missing one there? Slant? I think Mo Babuli had a slant in there. And again, it just comes down to, you know, keeping a loose environment and getting ready to play what's a big game tomorrow.
Okay, let's open it up for questions. Nikki's out there, and as I said earlier, please just introduce yourself and where you're from when we get there. Thank you.
Bobby,
by the way, Louis, so great looking room. I just realized we're sitting in a room that looks nothing like this usually. So great job.
Louis B, Forge FC. Is there a balance of kind of, you've been there, you've done that, and also this is a huge game, you're playing for something, or when you guys have played so many big games, how do you kind of balance those two things?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we always look at in these games, it's you just keep on rolling with what you do well. You know, that's the most important thing, you know. Just play football, you know, don't get caught up in the moment of what comes after it. You know, you look at our season this year, and I think it's a massive success, you know, up to now. And well, of course, we want that 3rd North Star Shield in our locker room tomorrow. But we've done some great stuff. The players understand that. It's just, taking one deep breath and going for another 90 minutes, sticking to our principles, sticking to our way of play, especially here at home. I think there's going to be a great energy in the stadium tomorrow. I know ticket sales have been great. So I think there's going to be a great environment. And I think that, along with the football we've been playing here, is very important for us. And that's what you just need to focus on. It's 90 minutes of football. The interesting thing about it, always in playoff football, is nobody cares what happened before. Rightfully so. It doesn't matter what the records of teams have been against each other, what standings were in a season. It's one game, and that's where all the details come out in the game. So that's the things we talk about. But to be honest, we talk about that in every game of the season, at least the way we go on and try and make sure we have a very steady performance throughout the season. I think so. That's the biggest messages we're giving the guys ahead of tomorrow.
Bobby, Steve Milton, Hamilton Spectator. Been a lot of pressure on the back end because of injuries and cards and those kinds of things. Where do you stand with that for tomorrow? They got one more game left.
Yeah, I think the cards have all been thrown out, so that's a good thing. On the injury front, I think we're pretty good all the way across the table. Obviously, Daniel Crutzen is a player who got injured last week, and he's the one that is the difficult one, but everyone else is currently available to us as we get into tomorrow. And the one thing we've shown over the year, and this is important, I think, for our team, it's we're not built on one player. We're built on the team. We've seen that with different roles of players this year, coming in and out of themselves and being important players to what they're doing. Whether it's Josh Navarro, who starts the season, as a player coming off the bench, to being a very crucial player in the last 2-3 weeks of the season. I could go on and on. Rubens Pacius, he's a player who I mentioned, I think last week, probably hasn't played a competitive game of football, of soccer, before he joins Forge FC for a good year. And here he is in the league scoring 8 goals. For us. So that's what the team is about. It's about the way of play. It's about the principles of play and how the players slot in there and get the job done. And we've seen that with whoever's moved in and out of the lineup. So, that's the biggest thing we always have, in that confidence going in to every game, because it's a tough season. Tomorrow is game number 40 for us. We put that into perspective. I don't know many clubs in the world that have done that in such a short span. And for us to be able to do it and play the football we do, I always commend the players, because everybody is ready to step up, and it'll be the same thing tomorrow.
Charlie, CPL. Bobby, you guys have won that Shield there twice, but you won it in Calgary and in PEI. Would it be a little, maybe more special, a little different to win it here at home?
Yeah, if I said not, I think I'd be lying, right? Especially for the players. That's the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, championships, trophies are won by players. They go out there and perform. Or those guys in the background telling them to do this, that, and so on. But all of that joy is for the players. So obviously, as a coach, as a backroom staff, we'd like to see that for the guys. We've won a championship last year in the middle of a pandemic. Gone on the road after that, and really never had the opportunity to celebrate with our fans. So I think that's extra motivation for the guys in the change room for sure.
Thanks, Bobby. We have time for 2 more questions in the room, and then we're going to go to Zoom.
Hi, Bobby. Basically, after your game in Honduras the other night, how motivated are the guys for this game, and where do you think the role of Joshua is with regards to this game?
Yeah, I think the motivation is high. It's you don't need a lot to motivate yourself to play in a final, and that's the one thing that our players have experience playing in these high energy games, as I talk about them. Obviously, there's disappointment after Wednesday night because of the effort, not because of the result, because of the way we played, and you feel that you could have had more over those 2 legs. But of course, right after that, it switches. Now you come to Sunday, it's another important game, and it's a great way to finish off the season here in front of our fans. When it comes to Navarro, like with everyone, he'll play his role in the game. What that role is, we'll figure out by tomorrow, and so will the players. But the one thing's for sure, he's been excellent in the last few games, and whether he's a player who's starting or coming off the bench, he's always going to be an important player to what we do on the pitch.
Bobby, I'm Jenkins, OneSoccer. First of all, welcome home. 39 games in the past. This is a core that's been together for a while. You know them. But when you go to Tegucigalpa, don't concede. You don't lose to Machagua through 2 matches of football. What do you learn from your team and take it sort of encouragement heading into the biggest game of your domestic season?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you look at the character, and it keeps on building, and maybe not so much some of the established players, Kyle Becker and so on. That's an easy one to say, but you look at a player like Garvin Matusala, who's starting in that game. And for those who don't know, they had a maximum of 7,000 people allowed in the stadium, and I think there were 17. And it sounded like there were 70. It was a fantastic atmosphere. As I told the guys, there's nothing more you can ask for in football. I don't care if they're cheering for the other guys and wanting to throw stuff at us. There's nothing better to play it. But for players, the first time in that environment, I think you grow immensely, right? Because you step on that field, a lot of confidence. The game has gone very well. Obviously, a game of inches both ways. For the teams, and I think that's what's the most important thing for some of the players who are new to the environment, who are new to playing in some of these pressure-packed games. You gain a tremendous deal from it. And then I mentioned it down there, and I think this is something that I don't know if it was picked up here, but it's a massive thing. We walked off the field as a team, as Forge, and got a standing ovation from their ultras. I don't know how many of you traveled to Honduras, played in Honduras or in a lot of Central American countries. It doesn't happen. And I think that's testament to what the guys have done in the competition, the style of football that we've gone and played, especially away from home and keeping to that. And I think that's the biggest thing you gain from these games.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about the crowd in Honduras. And I don't know, it's probably not fair to say that that same crowd, the same liveliness doesn't exist here in Hamilton yet. People are very much focused on the Tiger Cats on football. So is your team a little bit, a little warm up there. How does the CPL, how does Forge get to that level with the fan base, get people in the stands and sell out?
I think we just continue doing what we're doing. We're a young league, we're a young team. Obviously for us, and I'll speak for ourselves here with Forge, success has helped that, and we see that from our attendances being higher up in the league. And I think by creating just moments, I think I talked about it in the game after we played Santos in the CONCACAF league, and the same thing against Montagua. When your supporters, when your fans, when the person who's coming to the stadium for the first time leaves that match, they leave with a great feeling. There's something about those special games that gives some type of energy. And when you do that to one person, that'll become two, that'll become four. So I think that's just naturally going to come with time. And from us, I think, the results help. The continental competition, I think, has been massive, because you look at where Forge is on the map in North and Central American football. And I think that's very important. So I think that's coming. And then league-wide, I think it's going to be there. We always have to remember that 2020 was a season in the middle of a pandemic on an island far away from everything. We started this season in a bubble in the middle of the country, a little bit different. The island was nicer, but it's going to take some time. But I think we're getting there. You see all of these special matches that have happened this year within the league. You see the playoffs and the energy they've brought. You see some of the games of the CPL teams against the MLS teams in the Canadian Championship. So you start putting that all together, and I think you get a lot of energy going forward. So I think that's just going to be natural as we keep on going and we keep on evolving as clubs.
Thanks, Bobby. Okay, we're going to go to Zoom, and we're going to start with Cleve Deanshaw from Times Colonist.
Hey, Bobby, from another island far, far away from you. Just your thoughts on your domination over PFC the last 3 years. Uncanny, the record you have against them, and what you think of them as the sort of being touted as the heir apparent to you guys and Calgary as in the next sort of years going ahead.
Yeah, when looking at the record in the past, I think it means absolutely nothing when you look at tomorrow. Tomorrow is a different motivation for two teams. And both teams will find that inner motivation to go out and compete, because you could say the storyline after tomorrow will be one team still has an undefeated record against another one, and if it goes the other way, it's the other team finally won, and here you go, you're champion. So those are two easy storylines to look at, and we know it's going to be one or the other. That's for sure. Pacific is a very good team. A good identity of what they do, and what they want to do as a team, and that goes back to year one. It's changed a little bit from year two into this year, but a strong identity on how they want to play, how they want to come out, and do things. And, what the biggest thing for us is just going out and playing our football. I think that's the most important thing. We're not a team that changes much based on the opponent. And that has nothing to do with lack of respect for opponent, because that's where everything starts in our locker room. That's where our team talks start with our team. It's always being humble, starting from a humble place, having a great deal of respect for what the opponents do. But, just making sure we go out there and we do what we do best. Both on the ball and off the ball. And if we do that, it's usually brought us success, and that's what we'll look to do tomorrow.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, Cleve. We're going to go to Brandon from Canucks Abroad.
Thanks, Mickey. Hey, Bobby. Hey, Christian. I hope you're both doing well there. My question sort of got poached there by Cleve, but I will just maybe rephrase it to how important do you guys, in the locker room and throughout the entire coaching staff and the players, how important and how crucial is it to throw out that record and just start from a clean slate here?
Sorry, can you get the last part of that question, Eddie?
Just how important is it to just throw out the record head to head and start with a clean slate and not make sure the players are thinking that they've already beaten them before?
Yeah, to be honest, we haven't really had to do that, because I've heard the players say it themselves. It doesn't make a difference what they've done. And I know the guys were talking about that. I think yesterday, a couple of the guys just talking about it, and that was their discussion. It means absolutely nothing. And I think that's the most important thing. Here, this is one game. It's not one game to gain 3 points to see where you are in the standings. It's one game to lift the trophy at the end, and one of the two teams will be very happy tomorrow. And I think that's the biggest thing that you have to look at in these games, not looking at the past. It's only what's going to happen tomorrow.
Appreciate it, Bobby.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks, Brandon. I think we could be here all day, but we're going to go to our last question from Adam.
Hey, thanks a lot. Hey, Coach. I was wondering if you could just touch on. I know you alluded to the time spent in the bubble in Winnipeg, and the club maybe didn't get off to the strongest start this season, but especially after if you bookend it with the performances there in the CONCACAF League against Motagua, and the team seems to be on a real steady upward trajectory throughout the season. Can you just kind of Cole's notes of the journey of the club from that first match in 2021 to where we are today?
Yeah, I think it's normal when you look at the start of 2021 and us entering the kickoff to the season in Winnipeg. That's our preseason. For a few teams in the league, we didn't really have a preseason. You look at some of the teams, I think, on the west coast of Canada and Pacific, Cavalry, Edmonton, probably trained for 2 to 3 months before the season started. For us, it was stop and go, a lot of individual training, and then I think we fully got into training maybe 10 days before we got into Winnipeg. So at that point, you make the decision and you say, these 8 games, or at least the first part of it, is going to be your full preseason. It's a long season. The way the schedule has been put in the playoffs, top 4 teams make it. We've also got CONCACAF League, which is very important to us this year, and making that next step and first getting into Champions League, and then also competing for a trophy in the event. So we had to take a very measured approach to things, use that first period as kind of our preseason. And, we came out of the kickoff with a 4-4 record. You look back at it, we thought, okay, maybe we could have had one more win, but we're also happy where we were coming out of there based on how we started, which was very unconventional. But it's something we rolled with and we went with. And the one thing I knew is we had a great group of players, committed coaching staff to working hard, strong identity. And if you just kept to your plan, everything usually works out. And I think it's worked out pretty well so far.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks for everyone's questions. Appreciate it, Bobby. Thanks for your time. I know it's a busy time for this. So good luck tomorrow. We'll see you on the pitch.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the match.